A debut single is an artist's introduction to the public, but sometimes it ends up becoming a song whose impact they fail to reach throughout their career. In this video, we look at 8 artists whose debut is their biggest song. Olivia Rodrigo. In January 2021, driver's license turned the 17-year-old Olivia Rodrigo into a global superstar overnight. The emotional ballad is about heartbreak through the eyes of a teenager. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and stayed there for 8 weeks, becoming one of the fastest songs in history to surpass 1 billion Spotify streams. Its viral success was powered by TikTok and the intense fan speculation about its lyrical backstory, sparking a media storm that cemented Olivia as Gen Z's newest pop voice. Even though she had the song All I Want from the High School Musical soundtrack go viral the previous year, Driver's License was her official debut single. The song's vulnerability and cinematic production drew comparisons to artists like Lorde and Taylor Swift and made it stand out in a sea of down-tempo ballads. It didn't just dominate the charts, it became the anthem of the year. Although Olivia has since released critically acclaimed projects like Sour and Guts, Driver's License remains her biggest song, even though Good For You is not that far behind. It set records, won a Grammy for Best Pop Solo Performance, and became one of the most streamed songs of the decade. Few artists have launched their careers with a song that felt instantly timeless. Natalie Imbruglia. When Australian singer Natalie Imbruglia released Torn in 1997, it became an instant global phenomenon. The song, a cover of a lesser-known track by the band Edna Swap, became a defining radio-friendly pop rock hit of the late 90s. Torn topped the charts in more than 10 countries and peaked at #2 in the UK, but it wasn't eligible for the Hot 100 at the time. It became a timeless hit, turning her into an international star overnight. However, the shadow of the song proved inescapable. While her debut album Left Off the Middle sold over 7 million copies worldwide, none of her next singles like Wishing I Was There and Smoke came close to replicating that success. Natalie continued to release music and even transition into acting, but nothing ever matched the cultural impact of Torn. Even today, the song dominates nostalgia playlists, with over 1 billion Spotify streams, becoming a generational hit that has stood the test of time. In the years since, Torn has become a staple of the late 90s sound and a karaoke favorite to this day. For Natalie Imbruglia, her first single wasn't just a breakthrough, it was her defining legacy. Lorde. When Lorde burst onto the scene in 2013 with Royals, she was just 16 years old, yet her debut single completely changed the sound of pop music. At a time when radio was dominated by luxury, Royals stood out as a minimalist, rebellious anthem. The song's critique of materialism resonated deeply with a generation tired of the excess that defined the early 2010s pop. The song reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, making Lorde the youngest solo artist to top the chart in nearly 30 years, and it stayed there for 9 weeks. The success of Royals catapulted Lorde into global stardom. Her debut album Pure Heroine became a critical and commercial success, and she earned Grammy Awards for Song of the Year and Best Pop Solo Performance. But despite her artistic evolution on later albums like Melodrama and Solar Power, nothing has quite matched the popularity of Royals. Even as her sound matured, her debut single remains the biggest song of her career, a song that captured their moments perfectly. Royals has now accumulated more than 1.4 billion Spotify streams, proving its staying power. It wasn't just Lorde's debut song, it redefined what pop music could sound like in the 2010s. It is the song that started her career, and the one that still echoes louder than the rest. Meghan Trainor. When Meghan Trainor released All About That Bass in 2014, it was an instant hit, with this doo-wop-inspired production and lyrics that talk about self-acceptance. The song dominated the global charts. It hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and stayed there for 8 consecutive weeks, eventually selling over 12 million copies worldwide and earning diamond certification in the US. The song's nostalgic and empowering vibe resonated across generations, making it one of the biggest pop hits of the 2010s. Before its release, Meghan was an unknown songwriter pitching demos to other artists, but All About That Bass flipped the script, making her the star instead. The song's music video became central to its viral appeal. Though its mixed message was controversial, the single's cultural impact was undeniable. Despite later hits like Lips I'm Moving and Like I'm Gonna Lose You, and even occasional hits in the 2020s, Meghan never quite recaptured the same level of dominance. All About That Bass remains her biggest song, even though it is her second most streamed song on Spotify. It's both a blessing and a curse, as it set an impossible standard she's been measured against since the start of her career. Vanessa Carlton. Few debut singles have had the staying power of Vanessa Carlton's 1,000 Miles. Released in early 2002, the piano-driven pop ballad immediately stood out because of its signature riff, one of the most recognizable piano intros of the 2000s. The single peaked at number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100, earned 3 Grammy nominations, and became a defining soundtrack of the early 2000s. With close to 1 billion Spotify streams to this day, and countless movie and TV placements, most famously in White Chicks, it cemented Vanessa's place in pop culture history. However, her follow-up singles failed to capture the same mainstream appeal. Tracks like Ordinary Day and White Houses received modest radio play, but couldn't climb past the Hot 100's lower places. Her debut album Be Not Nobody was certified platinum, but her later albums Harmonium in 2004 and Heroes and Thieves in 2007 didn't perform commercially. Vanessa later shifted towards indie and folk-inspired music, moving away from the mainstream success that came with her breakthrough hit. Still, 1,000 Miles remains the song she is known for, as it has transcended generations and continues to be popular more than 2 decades later. It's a rare case when an artist's first single not only defines their career, but also becomes a timeless classic. Avril Lavigne. When Avril Lavigne burst onto the scene in 2002 with her debut single Complicated, she immediately redefined what pop rock could sound like for a new generation. Released as a lead single from her debut album Let Go, the song became a global phenomenon, topping charts in countries like Australia and Canada and peaking at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. It captured the mood of the early 2000s youth, setting Avril apart from the polished teen pop stars of that era. The song's relatable lyrics resonated with anyone frustrated by their relationships. Paired with a casual skateboard-heavy music video, Complicated solidified her as an anti-pop star, earning her 2 Grammy nominations. She also won the Best New Artist in a Video at the 2002 VMAs for the song. Even with later hits like Skater Boy and Girlfriend, nothing ever quite matched the simplicity and cultural impact of Complicated. Over 2 decades later, it remains Avril's most streamed song on Spotify, with over 1.2 billion plays, and continues to be the defining anthem of her career. Norah Jones. Norah Jones' debut single Don't Know Why, released in 2002, was the song that transformed her from an unknown jazz vocalist into a superstar. It was the lead single from her album Come Away With Me, and its understated sound connected with fans of all ages. The song peaked at number 30 on the Billboard Hot 100, a modest chart position, but it had staying power. The single sold over 6 million copies globally and won 3 Grammy Awards in 2003, including Record of the Year and Song of the Year. What made Don't Know Why so powerful was its simplicity. In an era dominated by bold pop acts like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, Norah's minimalist approach, rooted in jazz and soul, offered a fresh sound. The song also propelled the album Come Away With Me to sell over 27 million copies worldwide, becoming one of the best-selling albums of all time. For many, Don't Know Why became synonymous with early 2000s adult contemporary music and a benchmark for modern jazz pop crossovers. Although Norah Jones has since built a respected career, with several acclaimed albums and Grammy wins, none of her later singles have matched the universal recognition of Don't Know Why. Foster the People. At the start of the 2010s, a song came out of nowhere to dominate airwaves, Pumped Up Kicks. Released in 2010, the song was the world's first introduction to indie pop trio Foster the People. With its bass line and whistled hook, it sounded cheerful until you realize it's about a school shooter. The contrast between the upbeat sound and dark storytelling helped the song go viral. Its irresistible melody was effective. After being uploaded online for free, Pumped Up Kicks exploded on alternative radio, eventually peaking at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and earning a Grammy nomination for Best Pop Duo Group Performance. Its success propelled the band's debut album Torches into platinum status, and turned Foster the People into one of the biggest indie success stories of the decade. Despite later efforts like Helena Beat and Sit Next to Me, no song of theirs has matched the popularity of Pumped Up Kicks. It remains the band's signature song, with over 2.3 billion Spotify streams to date. Which artist whose debut single is their biggest did I miss? Tell me in the comments below.